Hello, world, and welcome. Ah! Surprise! Ninjas! Where are they coming from? It can only mean one thing. The Scorpion previews are upon us from the New Order. Though I just made a ninja joke, I don't actually think this set contains any ninjas. Everybody just calm down, wheel back in your disappointment, because I'm sure there are some other cool and fascinating cards. Jesse, anything you're looking forward to here in Scorpion?
We'll see as we go. I'm looking forward to some subtle power. I'm looking forward to some sneakiness.
This is one of the factions that you sort of like rear your head into, right? Like you look at, when you're breaking up the factions after you've sort of glossed over the entirety of the set, you hone in a little bit on the Scorpion guys. Is that correct?
I like Scorpion. Traditionally, I like factions with a little bit more play to them, limited and open play. Scorpion
Yep.
is sometimes. They've been kind of pushing them towards just another military faction with some dishonorary mechanics recently.
I have a number of Scorpion decks. Their stronghold remains subtly powerful, which I guess I need to eat some crow. I thought for sure 20 festivals would be removing the Scorpion stronghold. Instead, it is leaving it exactly as it is. And I confess, as a player who wins with that box a lot, it's nice. But as a person who enjoys fun gameplay, it kind of drives me nuts. That is the single biggest tournament slowing factor that exists in L5R today. Scorpion players will agonize and agonize over what to name with their stronghold, and they do it during their turn, and they'll do it during your turn, and they'll name something, and maybe want to change it. It's really deleterious to pace of play. Add to the fact that it creates like this negation effect, so you use it on newer players, and you're like, "Hey, sorry, new player, you don't get to use that card you really wanted to use." I, I love Brian Reese, but I think his spiky tendencies are getting the better of him with the Scorpion Stronghold.
Maybe. I think people love the Scorpion Stronghold. It's a total flavor slam dunk.
It does have a level of flavorness to it, but I think there are other ways, other things you can do with a stronghold specifically. But I am in fact not the head designer of L5R. The world does not bend to my wishes whenever I want it, and so it shall remain.
Well,
And so we know that, and that's cool.
speaking of flavor hits, we got our first Scorpion preview. Uh,
Yeah.
Bayushi Agushi and Bayushi Janku. What do you think?
I think that it's going to be a lot of fun when Scorpion players have to name this card against, like, they're playing against. I named Bayushi Agushi. Wait, no, I named Bayushi Agushi and Bayushi Agushi. Well, you can only name one. It's like a who's on first sketch. Um, this card is pretty neat. It's like Bayushi Maime, the 8 gold cost force 3, gives out a -3 force. But you know who I'm talking about? The
Yep,
Ivory
yep, yep,
base,
yep,
common or
yep.
uncommon. Um, it's a very solid personality at the 8 gold cost point. And you can see this card being featured in any number of military decks, right? It's got a tireless straight and effect, bows for melee 3 in battle. It's got relevant trait. But that doesn't seem to be the deck that Scorpion Clan players are really in a market for right now. I do think there's a good strict Scorpion military with like Bayushi Kage and some cheaper guys, but I think this is a fun card. You read it and you read that first trait and you sort of smile because you get it. Like I could show this card to someone who doesn't play L5R and they would say, "Oh, okay, I get it. I understand."
Yeah.
And I think that's laudable. But as a card that I'm going to actually sort of play, this doesn't excite me very much. There are other cheaper, more interesting ways to get a melee 3 into the game.
Well, obviously the melee three and the straighten work together, but I think a lot of the times you won't be playing him that way. This is a printed four force guy with so four force for 8 gold is not
Well, they
terrible.
they don't work together, right? The tireless is an open. The other thing's a battle. It's not. If it was battle open, so
Oh
it's just
wow!
sort of
Holy
like
smokes!
it's
Okay,
it's
wow,
a
yeah.
pseudo conqueror thing.
Yeah, I completely missed that. I just assumed like I read the card and just assumed like yeah, okay, so like I take the melee three, I play a political action, I straighten my guy. That's embarrassing, and my evaluation of this card just plummeted.
Well, so I like it if this works the way I think it does, and I feel it does. So they've got the Shibatsu Sensei from Line in the Center that you sort of ball your courtiers to the favor stuff. So
Sure.
I could see a situation where I sort of like my turn, bow my Bayashi Agushi slash Janku here to pay for Imperial summons. So the cost substitute target counts as targeting them with a political action. So it's like I bow my guy to Imperial summons your guy, use their built-in tireless open to straighten. In I come with my full force dude. So,
Yep.
could contribute to sort of a soft control aggro deck. So, I mean, I can envision scenarios where this is a card that is doing things that I'm happy with and helping me accrue those incremental advantages that you speak about so much. But for the most part, it leaves me a little cold.
Fair enough. Just yeah, I like it in the Shibatsu deck. I think now I don't want to be wrong twice on one card review, but I think the lobby action itself is a political action that could target this guy, so you can lobby and straighten.
Yeah, and if you just happen to have the highest family honor kind of thing. And I mean, I'm sure there are lots of other little things to do. There's lots of political actions you can take that may be involved. But it's just, some sort of there's the card draw effect from aligning the sand. That's you draw cards off your courtier, right? Costs like 2 gold.
Yeah,
So you get like bow to your couple of cards. I mean, certainly there's ways to utilize that tireless open, and a melee 3 attack is a fine thing, but bowing your 4/4 guy to melee 3 attack, that's always going to be a play that isn't super common, right? So
yeah, for sure.
it's it's hard to hate on this card because there's a lot going on there, and it's got a fun flavor.
For sure.
But I don't think it's good.
Yep. Bayushi Irezu. Irezu? He's a martyr.
This is, Lion get in on the non-unique experienced game. That's cute. +1 against Lion. Whatever. I mean, I guess they can't wounded in battle you if they're playing wounded in battle. This is another cool cheap 2/2 for 4 guy with a kind of cool ability. Scorpion actually have a pretty good amount of these. They have a pretty healthy amount of sort of
Mm-hmm.
cheaper, not quite force efficient guys that have abilities that are neat.
Yep.
Bayoshi Akagi, I just love. He's just all value. But there's the guy that puts out the poison token, the -1. Is it I believe it's -1 force, -1 cheap poison
Yep. Yep.
token.
From
So this is the guy that might play with that, right? They have like they come into the battle with 3 force, poison token, now 2 force. Now I can trigger my Arizu. You can always put a couple of weapons on him because he is a Kensei. So if Scorpion end up playing one of the swarm military decks, it's like buy my gold, buy a bunch of cheap guys, profit. This guy fits in super fine happily. I don't think if I'm in Scorpion that as a player that's the strategy I want to pursue, and I think there's actual strategic disincentives to pursue that. You can do that out of Spider and get an extra Dynasty flip, have a battle action on your box. You can do it out of Lion and go first. You can do it out of Crane and just be playing Crane, right? So this guy doesn't incentivize me enough to pursue that approach. But if you're just a die-hard Scorpion player and you just really want to have 26 actions to take in every single battle, no matter how kind of wimpy your actions are, here's a common for you.
Yeah, Scorpion's starting to reach a critical cheap guy mass. And I completely agree with everything you're saying. Swarm decks usually either belong to high honor factions or really over the top, rattling heart of the Shinneman Forest factions.
Right, because
So,
he doesn't have resilience, so like you're not. How are you leveraging him early on on the early attack, the attack that comes on turn 3 or turn 4, after you've bought up some of your little guys and you've named a card? It's like what
right.
you're
It's
not gonna
like,
have put down a ton of weapons. I mean, I guess you've chosen not to buy a guy to suit up. It's tough to see how you're breaking the tempo of that matchup.
Yeah. You think, okay, it's a little incremental advantage ability, something like the Beastmaster and the Lion Swarm deck. But the fact of the matter is, the support players aren't there. You don't have the 3/4 for 4 gold guys, the 3/4 for 3 gold guys floating around like Lion does that can really push the curve and let you run a 4 gold for 2 force guy with a marginal battle action. So I think this guy's going to sit on the sidelines. Most of the Spider Kensei, in my opinion, have kind of been a miss. You keep talking about Baishi Akai is the one that has the really good battle action. Is it Send Home or Bow, something like this? I'm totally blanking on the card.
Is a Kensei card?
Yeah, it's like a 4 gold for 3 force Kensei that has a battle ability that's just Bow guy with no attachments.
Sure.
But
So,
I don't think anybody's playing him with weapons. I think they're just playing him for a good battle ability. And
yeah,
sorry,
he's a Forgotten Legacy card. He has a lot of value, but I mean, I don't want to be completely dismissive because I do think you'll see this guy in decks and in a home, but he's not going to feature in a lot of my decks, I guess is sort of how I'm lining up with it.
fair enough. Let's pop on to the next one. Bayushi Ayashi, Lady Sorrow. Cool art. Have I talked about how much I love the art in this set?
It's a really good set for art. I like this art a lot myself. And I kind of like this card because it's a Paragon and a Yojimbo and a musician. It's a bunch of things that don't really matter, actually, as it turns out. And the trait of while you control the Sorrow is neat. The Sorrow, of course, being a unique card from Aftermath, though. So here's hoping there's an XP2 Sorrow coming down the line, because otherwise, I mean, this is a card that if you have the Sorrow, you can talk me into it being pretty neat, right? You've got this sort of the Kinta type effect of a melee 4, and you gain the courier trait, which will presumably trigger into some of your other cards. But right now, this is a Yojimbo if you're trying to get that sort of last number of Yojimbo into your deck. And Scorpion can do that. They have enough Yojimbo to make work of a card like the Greater Threat, the move your guy in and make a fear effect, or the Final Sacrifice is always a fun card. But this one feels just all these Scorpion guys so far have been cards that we say, we've talked about how they don't. Where do they fit in? What's their spot? Where's their street corner? And this one is the trickiest one for me to pencil in somewhere.
For sure. Hopefully, in a future set, we'll see an XP2 non-unique Shadow, or Sorrow. Even as it stands now, I don't love running 3 non-unique borderline playables in case I flip my one unique borderline playable. So she's not too high in my book.
Do we think that Paragon might become a keyword again? I mean, we've now seen a number of Paragon in this set. They had sort of lost the Paragon stuff for a while. Now it's coming on back.
Maybe.
So I wonder if that might be. Returning to us.
It seems a little soon to bring it back. They mined it so heavily last arc, and it was a really good deck.
Well, if people remember, I mean, there's no cards that do anything with Paragon right now, or at least I can't think of any.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just bringing it back just for flavor.
Yeah.
And as for just for flavor, next up we have
Love Letter.
Their Love Letter dude, Shishiro Yamazaki. He's a master courtier.
Not just a courtier.
Well,
a master courtier.
That's correct. The master courtier. So superior to every other courtier ever. Apparently.
Yep. Interesting open action. Shoshiro Maru, how low she has fallen.
So if you have a good repeatable way to dishonor somebody, this could be a thing but I can't think of a good repeatable way to decide. I mean, like bow
Slanderer.
slanderer
Yeah.
and then bow the
Five
guy.
five gold
That
and a guy to bow a card. That's what I'm saying, man. Remember when you just had
let me just.
bow a
Uh,
guy,
I don't
bow a guy?
know. I don't know if my arm reaches. I'm trying. It doesn't. I don't think I can actually touch my nose after reaching that much.
um, you could. I mean, this is Scorpion, so you'd have access to unlimited secrets. Honestly, the way that the Dishonored deck works, it only requires one dishonorable personality on the board. So I'm not sure this guy's ability, despite the fact that we're making fun of it, won't see play. You get your one dishonored guy, or
No,
maybe
I
your two
actually
dishonored
think
guys, and this has something to do with your dishonor effects
the
later in the game.
the Air Shugenja, who is Scorpion, that can it's from I believe A Line in the Sand. There is an Air Shugenja that is Scorpion that can straighten if it has like an air spell attached or something like that. You know what I'm talking about? It's from A Line
Yep,
in the
yep. She
Sand.
draws if you bow to
It's a
draw a card when you
Soshi, so
attach. Yeah, then she can straighten.
yeah, and if she has an air spell, which hey, check out Secrets on the Wind, totally an air spell.
Yep.
She can straighten. So you end up with a situation where you bow her, dishonor somebody as a and open Rihanna, bow them as an open. That's a really great interaction, and this guy is going to end up playing alongside of those cards to give soft control permission into Scorpion Dishonor decks for sure. It might even be good enough to get into military decks. So like you're going to see that interaction. You're going to see this guy in use. Um, and the hope is that there's enough other courtier related stuff that you don't mind him as a warm body. Uh, it's cool. It's fun. I just don't know if that's what my master courtier should be doing. I want my master courtier to be more masterful. Should we talk about the interrupt? I mean, random card, gain some information.
Yeah, and out of Scorpion, it
Uh,
has extra value because you know a good card in their hand now, or a card in their hand to name with your box. Scorpion's been getting a smattering of these reveal a random card type effects. They was slapped onto their way of card, and there's
yep.
a couple of the geisha in the last set could show random cards. The fact that it's an interrupt slapped on an
Yeah.
otherwise playable guy makes me like it, but it's just gravy. I'm never gonna put him in a deck because he has that ability or be excited about that ability. In fact, I call it right now that I'll at least one time in my life recruit this guy and forget to look at one of your cards.
Yep. So there is a geisha that's like, if it shows a battle happens, I think they lose an honor or they have to discard the card, and then if they don't, something happens. So I mean,
Yeah,
there
he
are
actually
things
he
in
does
there
work with the Geisha Sensei to the extent that that's anything at
uh,
all.
entirely possible. I do not. Yep. So it's a corner case scenario where you're looking for like your opponent shows a random card, but if that's what you're in the market for, he's gonna work just fine for that.
There you go. Don't hate him. Yogo Chijin.
Now this guy I sort of hate because I love blood speakers. Blood speakers are one of my favorite parts of L5R.
Team
This guy's a
Ichiban
blood
right here.
speaker,
Should have won, man.
and he's up. I mean, I just don't have anything to say. Why am I coming to this guy? I mean, he's just a filler Shugenja. I'd rather probably have the Bat Clan Shugenja every day of the week. I'd rather have the Soshi that gives you your card and straightens. Only if you're in a desperate need for like Shugenja number 12 with the air trait does this guy interest you. His big payoff is after you kill dishonorable guys, they lose an honor. I don't think that happens often enough with a great enough frequency where it's gonna really trigger in. And I mean, it makes gold for Touch of Death.
Yeah, he attaches Secrets on the Wind for
Secret.
free and then can't cast it. He reduces the price of touch and then can't cast it. So
Yep.
you need multiple Sugenja so you can bow this guy and attach it to another guy. It's See, the thing with all these little Sugenja effects, and I'm gonna play this guy that bows straight to bow your guy, and then I'm gonna cast on the wind and the bow. You run out of guys really quickly, and it's really easy to sit here and say like, well, I'm gonna have this and this and this, and I'm gonna bow this, I'm gonna do this. Okay, so you bow four guys to reach all the way around your head. You kill their guy, and they just attack you because you've got nothing left, and they roll your face. This is something I run into with decks. I try to build these dirtily little Sugenja decks all the time. It always happens. You're in a big mess of zero force guys, and they're all bound to do stuff, and then they just take your provinces. Because
Yeah, so yep, that's exactly it. And there's a few other airs. What's the one you played against me that's like the increase the cost equal to half the chi that
yeah,
can
yeah,
go on
yeah,
air
yeah, yeah.
people?
It's
But
stifling wind.
like I
It's all just
so
dirtles,
for the same gold, I can have an air Shugenja who straightens herself with 3 force. Like I'm taking that card pretty much every time.
Yeah, and she was really pushed. I think her presence in the base set really threw off Shugenja design for the rest of the arc because why reach for a clan line personality where you can just play this crazy girl at 5?
Yep. I'm right there with you. Okay, and finishing it up is
Yogo
a
Gorobe.
guy who's finishing it up. So courtesy conquer, so that helps. So if you're playing that swarm cheap guy deck that we talked about earlier, one of the issues is you go second. This guy has conquer when you go second. Another Yojimbo, because if you need some Yojimbo, maybe you need more Yojimbo. I'm just sort of so completely underwhelmed. I'm not sure I can say anything other than this.
Courtesy Conquer
The
was the
mask.
ability that I said Courtesy
Oh
would
wait,
go
hold
best
on.
with.
Hold on, my powers are activating. I do believe you said every faction has a masked something. I would point out that there is no masked scorpion. It is the masked monkey.
Well, masked something. All right, whatever. You
But
got
that's
it.
not what. Wait. We have this video documented. You said every faction got a masked faction guy. The
Okay.
monkey are not a faction.
Okay.
I guess
Who
the Toys Army is a faction. Yes, powers.
Gorobe? I feel like the name Gorobe was used previously. Do you remember who Gorobe is?
Absolutely has been used previously. He's. I think he might be in this set. There's a Caillou Garobe, who's like a siege guy that discards a card for something.
All right. Well, this has
He's in
courtesy.
Ivory.
Okay. Courtesy Conquer
Yeah,
is
Caillou.
what I thought Courtesy should be doing most often. As a tempo break, you attack and defend. The problem is that it's on a 2 force guy.
Who's not a
So,
Kensei,
yeah,
and you're not going to be playing a ton of followers, or you're not going to want to load up a ton of followers on your 2 for 4 guy.
well, that's just
So
not how
another
the Swarm deck
magistrate.
ever plays.
Yep.
Another
So
Magistrate, yeah, for the no Magistrate abilities we have. So, I mean, he's a card.
right.
Maybe, and cards like this, their stock can go up over time as action suites are printed and removed. So if they decide to make Magistrates
Absolutely.
totally awesome or Yojimbo is totally awesome, maybe he'll become the top dog. But right now he's a filler. He's like a 20-second personality you reach for if you're filling out your cheap guy deck.
He's so one of the things I think about a lot at 4 gold cost. So he's got a dash, which means you can do some corrupt gold stuff, which maybe you want to do if you're doing a Spider Swarm deck. Uh, but I mean, there has to be some mitigating factor that puts me onto Gorobai instead of say Miyokin, instead of say Xanthar,
Yeah,
instead of say you know.
the four gold's a really crowded price point
Yep.
in unaligned personalities, really.
And so that is the end of Scorpion. How do we feel here?
I mean, I don't know how I felt about Scorpion All Arc. The Dishonor deck, I get it, but it's pre-built. It's sort of like it's a deck that designed, built for you, and handed to you full whole cloth. Um,
Loses a little bit of its mojo when you convert it to strict, though obviously I've played some against you with it, and it holds on. But losing the losing Exquisite Silk works. Losing JPI makes it a little bit trickier to sort of always get your dishonor loss effects going.
hmm
But there's enough Fate Side stuff that sort of pings you, and enough manipulate Fate Side stuff.
What
It's a fine deck.
where I'm going with that though is that I get that deck. I understand what it's supposed to be doing. The problem I'm having with Scorpion Design now that they're moving away from that is that I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Am I supposed to be buying big 7 to 9 gold cost guys and going to town like that? Am I supposed to be trying to do some sort of Yogo Towers swarm thing without Yogo Towers? It seems to be everywhere, and none of it seems to be quite good enough.
Right, and they I've seen some dually things, but you look at this and you've got a lot of like 2 cheat guys, 3 cheat guys. It's gonna need some real exploration and playing around with card combinations and see if something materializes. Being are a lot less bright and vibrant. I don't think that's a bad thing because I think these cards have enough potential that you don't need like big like these are the unplayable cards. Like there's probably configurations and Fate side setups where a good deck materializes, but I think it's going to take a lot of games and a lot of tweaking and a lot of adjusting. And I'm not sure if our players are in the mood for that. I think they'd rather just play their Yahtzee, draw my 8 cards, play my 8 cards, win the game, feel like the champ.
For sure.
Dishonor deck.
Okay.
They'd rather just get their 3 brilliance and win.
So that's been Scorpion. Let us know what you think Scorpion is supposed to be. If you like where Design's taking Scorpion, maybe you can give us some insights.
If you're a fellow brother in arms who is disappointed that you didn't get a ninja because you just always assume there's a ninja because you just always want to see a ninja because in your heart of hearts, ninja are awesome. Feel free to share that with me as well.
Yep. Leave a comment, like us on whatever your favorite social media platform is. Until next time, I'm Paul. That's Jesse. That's been Talk.